So pretty. It is lagging really badly. Nay. Marnie. I can hear my mom calling my name, albeit faintly, above the rumbling of the car's tires and the bounding bass line of Amon Amar's tattered banner and bloody flags. I don't really feel like replying. It's easier to pretend I can't hear her. I'm so not in the mood for a lecture right now. Well, Andrew, don't you have anything to tell her? Like what? Oh, I don't know. Maybe that she should at least dignify me with some sort of response? I know she's going through a rebellious phase, but I'm still her mother. She should be a bit more respectful, honestly. Alright, I'll try talking to her. Hey, Gizmo, you okay back there? And now Dad's getting in on the act too. Great. Dad isn't as neurotic as Mom. She's always on my case, either about my makeup or my homework, or the state of my room. But his concerned queries and awful dad jokes are almost as bad as Mom's constant complaints. I dig my buds deeper into my ears and sink down into my seat. I think I'd rather be in Midgard, even if it was burning to the ground, than in this car. It'd probably be cooler there, too. The summer heat is utterly unbearable, and I'm afraid that I'm going to get a tan. Not that that will ever happen. I don't bronze like Greek goddesses do. I turn pink instead. It's not a great look. Why is it so hot anyway? I live in England. It's supposed to rain here every day, summer or winter. Thanks, global warming. I love you too. Oh, for God's sake. Take those earbuds out, Marnie. I can hear that awful music from here. You'll deafen yourself if you're not careful. Hey! I pull out an earbud and aim a glare back at Mom's head. Amon Amar's aren't awful. They're very talented. All they do is shout. I don't understand why you're so obsessed with them. You think I'm obsessed? That's rich coming from you. At least I don't blast my music around the house at full volume 24/7 unlike you and Valentine Rock. That's different. I can see my mother's face, but I bet she's blushing. My mom has quite a cool, steely exterior, but she always gets flustered whenever Valentine Ross comes up in conversation. Helena's about the same about Proteus, come to think about it. I think Proteus is a creep myself. He's like, what, 24, 25? Either way, he's much too old to go out with Helena. She's only 16. I've tried to broach this subject with her before, but when I do, she always gets pissy, as though we're supposed to be friends. I mean, geez, sorry for being concerned about your welfare. I didn't realize that was so uncool. Valentine is a talented musician, and he's a gentleman, too. I simply had to support his newest single. I wanted it to break into the top 10, and he deserves it for working so hard. So that's your excuse for listening to Golden Year about 10 million times a day? It wasn't 10 million. It sure felt like it. You had that song on so often, I had nightmares about it. Not you too, Andrew. I would appreciate it if you didn't take sides. I'm not taking sides. I'm just being honest. Well, don't. You don't know anything about Valentine. And how much do you know about it, Mom? It's not like you've ever met him. For all you know, he could be a psychopath. Don't be ridiculous. Of course he isn't a psychopath. I've been a fan of his since I was a young girl, Marnie. I think I have a better grasp of his character than you do. Sure, whatever. Don't you water over me. This is important. Important to you, maybe. I yawn and stare out the window, arms folded. My mom always gets like this. When she talks about her childhood crush, this precious Saint Valentine. In her eyes, he can do nothing wrong. Though my mom's 46, she often scours Twitter searching for people to dislike him. She gets into fiery 280 character debates about his personality and his music on the regular. His lifelong dedication to Valentine Ross is pretty incredible, but it's also kind of disturbing. I guess you could call it a pathological? You'd think my mom, being a therapist and all, would be a staunch believer in keeping away from things on the internet that upsets you, but apparently not.
I hope you haven't been arguing with people on Twitter again, Louis. It isn't good for you, it just makes you angry.
Mom's always angry. I mutter this under my breath, hoping the car engine will drown it out but of course. I heard that, Marnie. My mom's ears are rather sharp. With her sense of hearing honed after listening to Valentine Ross records on a loop for the last 40 years, the world may never know. Anyway, we're not supposed to be talking about Valentine Ross right now.
Really? That's the first.
Put a sock in it, Andrew.
I love you too, Louis.
And I love you, though I sometimes wonder why. Mom, I get that. Anyway, we're almost to French Chapel. Yippee! Now, I know you're not very happy about spending this week with your grandmother. Goodness me, whatever gave you that impression, my dearest mother? I sat up a little straighter and blinked at my mom, all wide eyes and long eyelashes. Though I wear black pretty much all the time, I'm good at pulling off the innocent look. My eyes are very blue and my hair is pale blonde. When I was younger, people said I looked just like a doll. I'm tiny too, which is probably why my dad calls me Gizmo. Not even my platform boots are enough to disguise how teensy I am. Some of the teachers at John Whitgift still think I'm year 7. It's hard to believe being a goth when you look like a Disney Rapunzel in miniature. Don't be smart with me, Marnie. But I'm not smart, Mom. Miss Partridge made that quite clear in my last report.
I'd almost forgotten about that rotten report. I can't believe things she said. She gave you such a dressing down.
My inaptitude at math is somewhat legendary, yes. Don't sound so proud of it. You'll be going to 6th form this September. If you get the grades, I hope you'll apply yourself a little bit more then. Sure, Mom, whatever. I wish you wouldn't say that. But let's get back on topic here. I know you don't want to see Iris, Marnie, but I hope you'll be nicer to her. You only have one grandmother and you need to cherish her. And you only have one daughter, but I don't feel very cherished right now. What do you mean by that exactly? You could have taken me on holiday with you. It's not fair that you and Dad get to swan off to... Oh, I skipped that again. Might as well save it since I accidentally clicked. Can I go back? Get the swan off to Bordeaux while I'm stuck in French Chapel. It's no way to reward me for sitting my GCSEs. I don't know if you deserve a reward. I never once saw you studying for your exams. I worked hard on my art portfolio. You worked too hard, if you ask me. You were down in the garden shed until 3 in the morning, splashing acrylic paints around. If you'd only put as much effort into your English or math. Don't talk to me about the M word or I'll choke. Sometimes I wish I could choke you, you cheeky madam. Mom, please. Is that something a therapist would say? I'll say whatever the damn I want to my own daughter. You need a bit of disciplining. Your dad's too soft on you. Is that why you wouldn't take me on holiday with you? Are you trying to punish me? No, of course that isn't it. We've been through this already. Mom sighs and wipes her brow. It's hopelessly hot in the car, even with the windows wound down, and I can see my mom's blouse clinging to her back. I booked this holiday so I could support Valentine. He'll be performing for the first time since his hip operation, and I want to be there for him. Like he even knows you're alive. He will know I'm alive when I ask him to sign my copy of Golden Year. That's why you don't want me around. Are you afraid I'll cramp your style when you finally meet your childhood crush? Of course not. I imagine it to be hard to elope with the man of your dreams when you've got a moody teenager daughter hanging around. What poor Dad going to do while you're mooning over Valentine? Aren't you afraid he'll get jealous?
Jealous? Me? Not likely. I know I'm not Louie's #1 pick when it comes to men, but she married me and she's stuck with me now. I doubt she'd let Valentine sweep her off her feet even if he does happen to propose. My Louie's as faithful as they come.
Valentine wouldn't be able to sweep her off her feet. Not without breaking his back. Isn't he like 200?
He's only 73.
Only, she says, jeez. And I thought Proteus was too old for Helena. He's got almost 30 years on you, Mom. He's old enough to be your father. And I don't get the appeal. He used to be very handsome when he was younger, I'll have you know. More than Dad. Obviously, your father's never once been a teen heartthrob, has he?
Oh, Louie, you wound me.
Just telling the truth. Mom's tone might be snippy, but I know that's not the full sum of her feelings for my father. She's actually pretty sappy deep down. She and Dad are still all over each other 20 years into their marriage, her love for Valentine Ross notwithstanding. I've been in on them kissing in the living room couch more than once. I guess their relationship is kind of cute in a way. At least it would be if I wasn't their daughter. He wants to see their parents necking. Ew, thinking about it makes me feel kind of queasy. And I highly doubt Valentine will propose to me. I'll barely get a chance to speak to him. It'll be packed. His concert will be sold out in minutes. But if he does? Oh, don't get started on this. It's not happening, and you're not coming on holiday with us. You had your chance. I did ask you if you wanted to come, remember? And you said you'd rather stick pins in your ears than listen to Valentine live. Yeah, well, that was before I knew I'd be staying at Friend Chapel for a week. I'd planned to sleep over at Helena's house while my mom and dad went abroad, but Helena and I had a falling out over at Proteus on the last week of school term, like he was even worse. So you were going to stay out at a guy's house? Over Proteus. I think I missed something. I can't believe she called off her plans at last minute. What an awful friend. She honestly sounds like an awful friend. I was just literally trying to help. But Helena got all snotty and she said that she was old enough to look after herself. And anyway, the age of consent in England is 16 and she's basically an adult. So that means that she can do whatever she wants, so I should get lost. I really don't get what she sees in Proteus. He's a total creep. He might have a car and maybe he can play the guitar, but he really does. But does that really make up for his weird name? It certainly doesn't make up for the fact that he's in his mid-20s. Now, Marty, don't give me that. The situation isn't exactly ideal, but you'll have to grin and bear it.
I think it'll be good for my mom to have a bit of company. She's not been in the best way since Dad passed. You can cheer her up.
Me? Cheer up Gran up? I think you must have gotten the wrong kid. I'm no Shirley Temple.
No, you're the more of a Wednesday Addams kind of girl. Mom likes you though. It's been ages since you last saw her. I think a bit of company is just what the doctor ordered.
I think Gran needs to see a doctor. Hasn't she been nattering on about fairies since Grandpa died? Dad's fingers tighten around the steering wheel, he sighs. My dad's such a silly, irrelevant kind of man. It's rare to see him down in the dumps like that. Mom's obsession with Valentine Ross makes him laugh, but he's uncharacteristically serious when it comes to Gran's declining mental state. I guess I don't blame him. I was shocked when I saw Gran at Grandpa's funeral last year. She practically withered overnight. I didn't know people could just shrink like that. It was sad and also kind of scary.
I don't think my mom needs to see a doctor, Gizmo. She's a tough old bird. Her eyes aren't what they used to be, and she's shrunk a little, but she can still get around her house all right. Your brother's desperate to put her in a home. He keeps phoning us about it every other week. Yes, well, We all know that what Jim's after, and I doubt he has our mother's best interests at heart.
Dad watches me in the rearview mirror, a sad kind of smile on his face.
You don't need to worry, Marnie. Your grand's fine. I doubt she'll kill over in your company. She's just lonely is all. Who knows? If you spend some time with her, it might help.
Maybe. But I'm not so sure. Dad's convinced that Grandma Iris is hunky-dory, but he's been pushing this narrative ever since Grandpa Frank's funeral, but I don't think I believe him. Dad's convinced Uncle Jim's wants to oust Gran from her home so he can divide her assets, and he might have a point, but I am a little worried about my Gran. She looked so frail at the funeral, and then there's all her talk of fairy. It just doesn't seem right. I don't think it's normal, but I guess that doesn't matter. I'm going to stay with my Gran this week, and in my mother's words, if I don't like it, I'll just have to lump it. If only Helena hadn't blown me off, then this wouldn't be happening. This probably isn't a charitable thing to think about, my best friend, but she's acting like a stupid cow. I popped my earbud back in my ear and immersed myself anew with the cold, silly, bloodstained world of Ammon Armas. Looks like we'll be at Gran's home in a few minutes, but until then, I can always imagine. Right now, I want to imagine that I'm anywhere other than Friendship. Dad pulls up in Gran's too large driveway, which seems strangely empty without Grandpa's old Honda. That's one of the things about visual novels. This is just an opinion thing. It doesn't necessarily make it good or bad, especially whenever you have scenes like this where they clearly put in a lot of effort for each of the scenes. But I was reading a lot on that one visual scene. I don't know. If anybody wants, you can tell me your opinion on that. About staying on the same theme for a very long time on a visual novel. Dad pulls up in Gran's too large driveway, which seems... Okay, I read it. Dad helped Gran sell it off after Grandpa died. She said it reminded her too much of him, and she couldn't bear to look at it any longer. Gran's beat-up Hyundai is still there, but I doubt she uses it anymore. Her vision isn't what it used to be, and she can barely grip the wheel with her trembling, leathery fingers. Old age is pretty depressing. She seemed so healthy before Grandpa died, too. After the funeral, she went to peace. I guess she really did love him. Gran insists on making Mom and Dad a cup of tea when they drop me off, and Mom reluctantly agrees, though I know she's anxious. She keeps tapping her fingers against the kitchen table and looking at the clock. I know she's calculating the distance between Friendchapel and Manchester Airport in her head like a GPS, trying to figure out how much longer it'll take to get there. Heaven forbid anything stops her from seeing her beloved Valentine. For a therapist, my mom sure does worry a lot, mostly about timekeeping, the housework, and my grades. That's one of the things, a therapist, it's kind of like that saying with, like, doctors are their worst own patients, because they just hate seeing the doctor or seeing someone that has different or maybe possibly even better, knowledge than them. But you can't really diagnose yourself, but I think she should really have a therapist. She definitely has some compulsory issues if she's that, like, gung-ho about the Valentine dude. I could be reading too much into it, though. But there's a few screws loose with this therapist. Recently, Valentine Ross has been pretty high on that list, too. I swear my mom's obsessed. My family chatter idly across their cups of tea. Gran mostly talks about how hard it's been to manage the house since Grandpa's death, but Moira's been such a big help, bless her heart, that she can't imagine how she'd get along without her. It's all very sad, but I feel vaguely relieved that she rattles through her list of minor grievances. At least she isn't talking about fairies again.
Moira's that girl from the council, isn't she?
Oh yes, She comes over every week to help me with the shopping, and she does a bit of cleaning too. She really is a sweetheart.
Well, that's good. I'm glad Moira's been treating you right, Graham. And how's Dad? Vegetable garden coming along? It must have been about time to dig up those lettuces and potatoes.
Oh, that's right. I've heard so much to do since Frank passed. Forgot about his garden. Old age really is unbearable. Gran holds a trembling hand to her temple, perhaps hoping this will restore some of the hazy fading memories. Nothing made Frank happier than watering his lettuces. That garden brought him so much joy, and it's completely slipped my mind.
Hey-o, don't worry about it, Mom. No harm done. Since I'm here, I can always help with the gardening, that is, if you don't mind.
Oh, would you? I'd appreciate it, Andrew, but... Gran glances at Mom. Mom's staring at the clock again, her lips pursed. She doesn't seem happy. Then again, she rarely does. I wouldn't want to keep you. Don't you have a plane to catch?
It doesn't set off until 7, Mom. We've got bags of time, isn't that right, Louis?
Well, I suppose a small break wouldn't hurt, but... My mom gives my dad a tortured look. I don't want to be late. These tickets were expensive, and Valentine
can wait, I'm sure. That garden was important to Dad. I'm the one who helped him set it up. I can't let all his hard work go to waste.
Well, when you put it like that, I suppose you better go on then. My mom recrosses her legs, sighing as she does so. She might be too uptight about timekeeping, and anybody can see how anxious she is about she is to get out of Graham's too large kitchen and back to the road, but she isn't heartless. She is a therapist, after all. Listening to other people's problems is part of her job. Gran hasn't been coping well since Granddad's death. If it weren't for Moira's weekly visits, she'd probably be in an old person's home, as per Uncle Jim's wishes. This should go without saying, but my grandma is really old. It's strange to think about it, and it's even stranger to see that all that age hanging on her face, her gray skin drooping as though it's too heavy for her. My earliest memories of my grandma is of a stern, square-shouldered woman with sharp eyes, her gray hair pulled into a tight bun. But that woman's is worlds apart from the Gran I am seeing right now. She's deteriorated so much it's almost scary. Go and have your fun in Frank's garden, Andrew. I won't stop you, but don't take too long. I don't want to miss our flight.
Right you are, Governor.
My dad grins, rakishly, like a cheeky Victorian chimney sweep, and doffs off an invisible cap in my mother's direction. I don't think the real Victorian chimney sweeps were cheeky, though. They were just probably too busy dying from burns and suffocation to clown about like my dad.
What about you two, Gizmo? Do you want to come with us?
Oh, Dad, do I have to?
Well, it beats listening to your mom cataloging Valentine Roth's many, many accomplishments for hours on end, won't it?
Don't be like that. I think things other than Valentine, you know.
Sure you do, Louis.
I do. Mom hops in the background, but Dad pays her little heed. He grins at me, then says,
So what about it, Gizmo? I could sure do with an extra pair of hands. I think the potatoes should be ready to come up, and the lettuces, and maybe the carrots.
Isn't it just lettuce? The plural, or whatever? I don't know. Multiple lettuce is just lettuce. I don't know.
There's also a whole bunch of tomatoes in the greenhouse. Strawberries, too.
Dad wiggles his eyebrows suggestively.
I know how much you love strawberries.
Alright, fine, whatever. I push my glass of pink lemonade to one side and get to my feet, stretching. I've been sitting in Gran's kitchen for less than half an hour, but my limbs already feel like they've atrophied. I'll be glad to get out of this stifling atmosphere, if only for a few moments. That also leads into another question. They have a teenage daughter that is clearly going through some things. and she's rebelling, this, that, and the other. And normally I would be like, fine, teenagers being teenagers, but you have a mom that's a therapist. Wouldn't she be adamant about having her daughter see a therapist as well? It's just natural health. It's just like going to the doctor for a checkup. Just, keeping everything on tip-top shape. Maybe she'd be able to work through some of these issues and having her thought processes about her friend that clearly isn't a good friend, that's also going through problems. And she might not be necessarily a bad person, the friend, I mean. But, I don't know. Going out with someone 7 years your own age, while if you were like 35 and 42, then whenever you're older, but I don't know. I think 16's a little too young to be dating an adult, like an actual adult that's in the mid-20s, and for her to react the way she is. Not only is he irresponsible for dating someone that young in the first place, but for her to even dismiss anybody saying anything to her about it. I don't know. There's a lot of drama and baggage that goes with stuff like that. Being around Gran now is kind of sad. Her white hair is so horribly thin, and the bun she's got pulled back and hardly helps matters. I can see an alarming amount of bright pink scalp when I stand up. Her body, meanwhile, is just shrunken. Her cardigan is so large it looks like it's swallowing her. I can't bear to be in the kitchen with her another second long. That's a horrible way of thinking. And are you really not that close enough that you care more? I mean, I guess I can't really talk because my grandmother's in the same boat, but... like, still at least see her as a person. I don't know. I'm not a very sentimental person, but seeing my grandma reduced to this sorry state hurts way too much. Yeah, and you'll probably end up in the same position, so make sure you increase her happiness every chance you get.
Thanks for all your help, Gizmo. I couldn't have done it without you.
Come off it, Dad. I didn't do anything. I just stood there while you did all the hard work.
Now, don't sell yourself short.
I don't need to. I'm short enough as it is. Haha.
Well, I did most of the heavy lifting. You did something even more important.
Oh yeah? And what's that?
You gave me moral support.
My dad reaches out, smiling brightly. I think he means to ruffle my hair with one hand. But he's still wearing Grandpa's old work gloves, and they're smeared all over with soil. Hey, Dad! I sideswept his oncoming hand, holding my hands up to protect my hair. Careful, you'll cover me with mud.
Oops. Sorry about that, Gizmo.
Dad grins sheepishly and peels off the gloves from his hands, and he ruffles my head with one of his large, weathered palms. I think about throwing him off, but, well, I guess he's not doing any harm.
I never would have thought you'd care about me getting your hair dirty, though. Aren't you always nagging your mom about dyeing it black?
I don't nag, I was just asking, and besides, hair dye and dirt are totally different things.
You mean one washes out easy and one doesn't?
You're so lame, Dad.
Thanks, Gizmo. I love you too.
My dad draws his hand away, and still grinning, and I sigh. My dad's affection can be a little overbearing, but he means well by it. As far as dads go, he's pretty chill, which is definitely a good thing. If he scolded me as much as Mom does, I'd go mad. Mom might exist in a semi-constant state of stress, but Dad's laissez-faire attitude helps even things out. Speaking of which... So, Dad, would you let me dye my hair?
Now, Marnie, we've been through this. You know what your mother would say.
But this has nothing to do with Mom. This is my hair, and I should be allowed to do what I want with it. You wouldn't care if I dyed it, would you?
Not personally, no, but I think blonde hair suits you. But black might be more fitting. I'd certainly match your foul moods.
Oh, please. I roll my eyes and Dad laughs.
Sorry, Gizmo, I'm just saying it the way you gotta see it. You should know better than this, though.
Then what?
Even if I said yes, Mom's word is a law. If I gave you permission to dye your hair behind her back, my life wouldn't be worth living. She'd eviscerate me.
I guess you do have a point. Why did you turn into a girl? I'm actually transgendered. While I do go both pronouns, I heavily lean towards female. I wind a strand of hair around my index finger, my eyes trained in the plastic box of potatoes by my feet. The potatoes in my grandpa's vegetable gardens are so small, I don't know if it was really worth extricating them from the dirt, but at least it gave me an excuse to get out of the kitchen. Oh. I don't know why it chooses trans. Oh, you are trans? I didn't know. Since when? Well, I mean, I haven't been going by the label trans for a long time, but I have been gender fluid for a really long time. It's just, since I became a VTuber, I've questioned it more and more. I don't really talk about it much on stream, but I've been this way since, I've been seeing myself as mostly female since I began VTubing. It's just because the original plan was swapping in between my male models and my female models, but I only had made my male models because I wasn't willing to go through the effort of repurchasing Live2D at the time. But yeah, I'm trying a V-Roid model since it was so easy and I didn't have to pay for it. I'm gonna take me a drink. Yeah. I'm still on the discovery kind of things, trying to figure myself out and everything. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the posture check too. I'll have to make sure I sit up straight. The potatoes in my garden's grandpa's vegetable garden are so small. I wonder if it was really worth extricating. Oh, I just read that. Well, probably the father was probably worried about them dying. So it's better to take them out early than to not be there to tend to it, especially if the grandma isn't doing it. I wish Mom would get on my case about everything, though. I mean, my hair does belong to me, and I'll be in 6th form soon. It's not like I'm a little kid. So if her friend is 16, and the age of choice in, I think she said Europe, is 16. So she must be like 15 on her way to 16 or something. Unless it's one of those, you live under my house, and so you still have to answer to us kind of thing. I don't know.
No matter how old you get, you'll still be our kid, Chuck.
Is that why you always call me those stupid names?
No, I call you these names because I love you, and I'll never stop loving you. Whether you're a 16 or a 6...
So she is 16. So they can't really stop her if she dyes her hair. I don't know. At least when I'm 66, I'll be able to do whatever I want with my hair.
You think you'll still be a goth when you're 60s? When you're in your 60s?
I don't know, I can try.
I would tell you that the older you get, the more you start conforming to the status quo. But I guess Lita is a good example of the reverse.
My dad's older sister, Lita, is an interesting person. Apparently she used to be very fashion conscious when she was a teenager. She spent a lot of money on clothes, and she was always pouring through magazines looking for the latest fashion. She'd swan around the house in a flimsy see-through negligee. Apparently it left quite the impression on my father during his formative years. He told me on numerous occasions that his mother would scold her and say, "We live in England, not France, and if you want to show off your legs, you should become a con dancer." Aunt Lita's fashion stylings now, however, couldn't be further from her cosmopolitan youth. She's in her 50s, and she favors voluminous robes and long, gauzy scarves, paired with so many beaded necklaces and bracelets. She clinks whenever she walks like a living wind chime. Her fashion sense isn't the most unusual thing about my aunt, though. There's her obsession with astrology and divination and seances. I might be Lita's niece, but I don't know the half of her wild beliefs. My family doesn't visit her all that often. She's something of an enigma to me.
Well, as long as you don't end up like my sister, I'm sure you'll be fine.
Don't worry about it. I don't think I'm fortune-telling, and I'm not interested in seeing into distant realms.
Oh, I knew it. You had a good head on your shoulders, Gizmo, no matter what your awful math teacher said.
Sadly for me, Mom seemed to side with Miss Partridge.
Your mom's only hard on you because she loves you. Don't take your lectures to heart.
But you're not hard on me at all. Does that mean you don't love me?
We just show our love in different ways, all. Now, since you've been such a wonderful assistant,
But that also shows, because he's probably seeing how hard his wife is on their daughter, and is like trying to balance it out, trying to be the more of the fun-loving, because he knows that you need that fun-loving side. I hate the mom. For being a therapist, I don't understand it. You'd think she would have a better head on her shoulders. My dad plucks a ripe, juicy strawberry from the basket on the ground and proffers it to me like a magician. Ta-da!
Ta-da!
That'd be more impressive if I hadn't helped you pick all those 5 minutes ago. But I accept the strawberry all the same, despite my growling. Unlike the lettuces and the potatoes, which were disappointingly small, my grandfather's strawberries are large and hearty. The skin's bright red and peppered with yellow seeds. I pop the strawberry in my mouth and chew. The fruit bursts between my teeth, flooding my tongue with a tart juice. Well, that's because of, it's a vined fruit. Vines tend to need less tending, and that's probably why they survived, or grew better than the vegetables and everything. They, like the vegetables and everything, they need like watering and everything. I mean, strawberries do too, but vines tend to grow a little bit more voluptuous. At least in my experiences. I've never grown strawberries before, but yeah. I grew cantaloupe, watermelon, cucumbers, and stuff like that, and they didn't need as much tending. Dad watches while I eat, smiling gamely.
Is it good?
Not bad.
Why? What a glowing review, I just can't resist. I'll have to help myself to one too, don't tell Mama, right?
I won't, cross my heart. Dad's supposed to be on a diet. Mom tucks if he eats anything that he hasn't factored into his diet plan. But now she isn't here. Dad can do as he pleases. Grinning like a naughty boy, my dad snaffles another strawberry and bites into it.
Now that hits the spot. These strawberries are to die for.
He swallows a strawberry, then helps himself to another and another. I watch impassively, my lips pursed. You should be careful, or there won't be any left for Gran. You're right,
Oh, right you are. I'll have to stop myself there. Now, we need to bring our spoils back to my mother.
Dad looks at the assorted box lying on the ground. There's one box filled with potatoes, another with lettuces and carrots, and a third with strawberries and blackberries.
I'll get up. Do you want to carry the berries, Gizmo? I'm a man, so I can handle these hefty spuds.
The potatoes are hardly hefty, Dad.
Well, I doubt you'd find taters like these in Tesco. True, but they were grown with love, and that has to count for something.
Dad stacks the box of potatoes atop the box filled with lettuces and carrots, and picks them both up, his forearms slick with sweat. A cool wind ruffles my hair, but it does little to dispel the muggy, unpleasant heat. A fly buzzes, settling upon the ripe strawberries. I batted away, my eyes narrowed.
It's a nice day, isn't it, Gizmo?
That depends on your definition of nice.
You're such a little vampire. Knowing you, I bet you prefer if it was dark and gloomy, wouldn't you?
I'd prefer it if I was anywhere other than French Chapel. It's not fair that you and Mom get to relax on a sandy beach of Bordeaux for a week while I'm stuck here.
Oh, I don't know if there'll be much relaxing. Your mom will be trying to hunt down Valentine Ross all holiday, I expect. But try to cheer up. I know you don't like French Chapel very much, but I was born here, and I turned out alright. It's a bit dull, but you can always go on walks in the forest, and your grand's not a bad old sort, really. Can't you look on the bright side?
I can try, I guess, but I can't promise that I'll succeed. Who wants to spend their holidays in French Chapel anyway? There's nothing to do here. You better make this up to me, Dad. Next summer, can't you take me on holiday somewhere cool?
Like the North Pole?
I didn't mean like literally. I wouldn't mind going to Germany though. Or maybe Austria? Sweden might not be bad either. That is where Armin Ammer came from. And like a good 60% of the other bands I listen to on a regular basis. Why does all the best music come from Scandinavia anyway?
Alright, I'll see what I can do. Next year, let's all have fun together as a family, without Valentine Ross getting in the way. How about, what do you say?
I smile, I can't help it. I'm not enthused about spending the week in French Chapel, far from it in fact, but it's hard to be grumpy when I'm with my dad. I wish I could come with him. I'd even take Valentine Ross over French Chapel. This place is too depressing for words. Half an hour later, after much griping and anxious clock checking on Mom's part, my parents eventually departed. Dad gives Grandma a hug, and he promises her to come back soon. Then he gets into the car, Mom following alongside him. I stand on the doorstep and watch him leave, my grandma beside me. Dad leans his head out of the window, just like a terrier, and calls out at us as he maneuvers the car down the driveway.
Bye, Mom. Bye, Marnie. I hope you have a good time.
Behave yourself while you're gone, dear. If I come back and find out you've given your gran a hard time, I'll give you an earful. I bet you'll scold me no matter what happens. I watch as my parents' car pivots around the gravel driveway and then trundles out of my grandma's gloomy old home. I watch and watch, my eyes straining against the harsh sunlight as my parents disappear on the horizon. Now it's just me and my grandma. I could glance back at her. She looks back at me. I'm struck with a sudden, disorienting sense of how very small she is. When I was younger, Granny used to be taller than me. She isn't anymore, and that's not just because I've grown. She's gotten smaller. My boots give me a bit of extra height, but I bet I'd be bigger than she is even without them. Now that's unusual. I'm not used to being taller than anybody. Oh, Marnie. Gran smiles at me as though she's only just seen me. You've really grown tall. I guess, yeah. I try to smile, but it feels more forced. I know my smile isn't reaching my eyes. It's not that I've gotten taller, my grandma's gotten shorter. Maybe that's what happens when you live out in an out-of-the-way village like French Chapel and boasts an impressive population of 500. Your world view shrinks, and so do you. Gran's life was tied so tightly to Grandpa's that the moment he died, a crucial part of her died too. Now she's starting to fade away. Her old house is like a museum filled with antiques. And I guess that'd make her in a museum exhibit. Maybe she's like the stuffed animals I once saw in London's Natural History Museum. That's one of the sad things about aging, and that's actually one of my biggest fears is growing old. Um, Especially with my current health and everything, it's like I probably won't last that long anyway. But just I don't know. At least she's not like in a wheelchair. She seems okay-ish. Depression definitely plays a part in it. Again, you have a therapist in the family. I don't know. I know a lot of places in the world sees therapy as different things, but therapy is literally even if you don't have problems, you can still see a therapist and make sure everything's functioning correctly. Make sure that you're happy. And it just, I don't know. It just seems like for there to be a therapist that acts so nasty in the family that there's so many of these people that need therapy. The only one that seems to have their head on right is the dad. I tear my eyes away from the driveway. My parents sure as hell aren't coming back. And cast my eyes over to Grandma's house. Grand's house, like Gran herself, is something of a relic. It was built in the 1800s or so, and it shows. The mortar around the bricks is cracking, and ivy festoons the exterior of this old house like a veil. It's a warm day, but I shiver all the same. I don't really want to spend the night here, curled up in one of my grandma's many unused bedrooms, but what choice do I have? My parents are gone now, nobody else knows I'm in French Chapel. Until my parents come to pick me up next Saturday, I'm effectively trapped, treading water like a sim in a swimming pool with the ladder removed. Well, this sucks. The next day. Achievement unlocked. Okay, let's save again. That made me some food. I was waiting for it to cool down. So how is everybody doing? I hope my reading's okay. I know I keep messing up every so often. Doesn't look like you can hear me chewing either. At least the bar isn't going up whenever I am. I really like the game so far. The characters are very playful and loving, or engaging, really. I'll eat a few bites and then we'll continue for a little bit, and then I'll eat some more bites. I guess I could mute whenever I'm chewing. Hi. I'm going to lurk while doing some other stuff. This game has quite nice music. I'm glad you like it. It's been pretty fun so far. The artwork is very pretty. The music is very calming. But enjoy your lurk. I do have the command for it if you're interested. You don't have to, though. I'm probably just gonna finish I got 3 bites left. I'm just gonna finish my food. Okay, I'm done with my food. I'm gonna blow my nose right fast and then we'll continue. Okie dokie. Oh, what do you think of your porridge, Marty? My hands aren't what they used to be. I can't stop them shaking for the life of me. But I wanted to treat you with something special. I used to make this porridge for your father all the time when he was sick. Gee, thanks, Gran, but... I poke my porridge with the lip of the spoon. It quivers. You don't need to worry about me. I'm not sick. Not physically, at least. I'm sick of being in French Chapel, but that's another matter altogether. That isn't really Gran's fault, either. I can't blame her for my mother's unnerving 44-year obsession with Valentine Ross. I know you're not, dear, but this porridge should do you some good. I sprinkled it with brown sugar and it's topped with a few homegrown strawberries. They weren't bought from any old shop. I know, Gran. I helped Dad pick them yesterday. And you should be aware of how just how yummy they are. Why don't you dig in? You used to love strawberries when you were a little girl. I'm not a little girl anymore, though. What? Don't be daft. You can't be that old. You're what, 13, 14? I'll be 17 next year. 16 then. That's still young compared to me. Well, yeah. I sigh and slump down in my chair. I don't like being reminded of how young I am. My birthday's at the tail end of July, though I turned 16 only a couple of weeks ago. I'm the one of the youngest in my school year, as luck would have it. My blonde hair and short stature doesn't help matters either. I'm sick of being treated like a baby in my class. Maybe if I was a little taller, Helena would have listened to my warnings about Proteus. Then again, maybe not. Helena's as stubborn as a mule. I can't wait till I'm 18, then maybe people will start treating me like an adult. I mumble this plaintively under my breath, more for my own benefit than anybody else's. I don't truly expect my grandpa to overhear me. Gran's hearing, like her vision, is kinda off the grid lately. She has her own hearing aids. They look a little like white kidney beans, but she's always losing them. She'd lose her head if it wasn't screwed onto her shoulders. Maybe she already has. My grandma, however, must have some of her early school mistress days in her. She used to be an English teacher because her once alert ears are able to catch my mutinous mutters. Now, dear, I wouldn't be so certain on that. About what? That you'll magically become an adult when you reach 18. Life doesn't work that way. The world is a mysterious place after all, and you've hardly made a mark in it yet. You still have so much left to learn. You mean about the fairies? I want to retort. The words are already on the tip of my tongue, but I bite them back down. There's no use being snippy. I don't want to be a bitch. That's why Helena called me when I told her that maybe, just maybe, going out with a man, not a boy or even a teenager, a man almost 10 years older than her might quite possibly be a mistake. Besides, no matter how old you get, you'll always be my cute little granddaughter. If I was actually telling myself this, if I ever created a visual novel, every character, for one, would have their own color. So that way, I don't know, it makes it easier to read, and you instantly know when a different character, because I'm having to look at the name tag every single time it goes to a new dialogue box. And also, it should have its own color for thought, even if it's for, like, the main character. Have a difference between spoken and thought. I think I'm okay with how they have it set up because I'm not having that much issue. But yeah, it's just trying to make it as easier on the reader as possible. You really were adorable when you were young, Marnie. You had such a lovely blonde curls, and your eyes. Are you saying I'm not adorable anymore? Far from it. My vision's not so good, but even I can see how pretty you've become. It's a shame about all the black, but well. Who am I saying what's fashionable and what isn't? I have no idea. Black is the new black, after all. What was that, my dear? Nothing. I look at my clothes contemplatively. To nobody's surprise, least of my own, since I am, the one who dressed myself, I'm wearing black. I started dressing in black when I started secondary school. I thought it might help offset my blonde hair and blue eyes. I wanted to look fierce. But my school has brought in uniform. Worse luck, and our demure white shirts and gray-black blazers make me look younger than ever. The world is so totally out to get me. I'll never fulfill my dreams of looking like a Katsuya Nomura character now. Not that I have enough belts to pull off that look. My hair isn't spiky enough either. I think I've got the brooding part down, though. Now, why don't you eat up your porridge? There's a good girl. You don't need to coax me. I'm not a cat. Or a kid. I know, dear. Forgive an old woman for fussing. I just don't want your breakfast getting cold. Well, thanks. I dip my spoon in the porridge and bring a spoonful up to my lip. I blow on it a little. Despite Gran's fussing, it's still pretty hot, before I put it in my mouth. Gran watching on, her face alight with earnest interest. Oh, how is it? Do you like it? It's a bit sweeter than I like, but it's not bad. Don't you like sweet things, Marnie? You always used to raid my biscuit tin when you were younger. Like I said, I'm not a kid. And I'm sick of being treated like one, too. How strange. Your father loves sweets, and he's almost 50. Well, my dad's never been the most mature person. He's always cracking stupid dad jokes. His favorite recurring stand-up routine is pretending he can't find our car in the car park whenever we go out, even if our car is the only car there. What a riot. I continue to eat my porridge while Gran nods and clucks approvingly. When I finish, Gran nods and says, Good girl. Like I've accomplished some huge goal. I half expect her to give me a gold star. It's important to eat breakfast every day. You need to keep your strengths up. What for? It's not like there's anything to do around here. Unless you want me to clean out the... Oh no, you don't need to bother with the housework. That's what more is for. You should run out to play. I know Friend Chapel isn't very big, but there's a lot to do. You could even look around the church, or explore the old railway station, or you could take a picnic into the forest. Doesn't that sound nice? Wow, it sounds amazing. Doesn't it just? I just love exploring the forest with Frank. He was an avid bird watcher, and he taught me how to cry just like the blue tit. It's better than being a tit, I guess. This time Gran doesn't hear my mutinous mark, thank goodness. Do you know much about birds, dear? You can't say I do. Well, there's always time to learn. Cranchapel's forest is rather popular among the people with a keen eye for avians. There's woodpeckers in the spring and cuckoos in the summer. There's a lot of interesting sights if you keep your eyes peeled. There was actually a woodpecker outside my house. I heard it whenever I was doing the lawnmower earlier. Maybe you can take one of Frank's old guides with you. I'll teach you how to identify all sorts of birds. Maybe another time, Gran. Oh, sure. I'd rather you put this thing to good use instead of them getting dusty in his old office. But if you're not interested, I won't push it. I'll get that picnic lunch prepared for you then, shall I? I need to use up those strawberries. I have some of Moira's lovely bread too. She makes She makes it herself, you know. And cheese, and maybe some chocolate biscuits. Sure, Gran, whatever you want. If preparing lunch for me will make her happy, I don't mind. I can't pretend I'm all that stoked about wandering around Friendchapel, but at least it'll be better than staying inside my grandma's too large house, slowly suffering. Everything that happens in Friendchapel is slow. The nearest motorway is miles away, and the nearest city is even further out. To get to Tesco, it takes a good 20 minutes. What a sad, secluded village this is. It's a little wonder my poor grandma's started to lose it. The forest's about the only interesting thing here, other than the overgrown, disused train station, but... You better be careful in the forest, dear. Marnie. Ah, here it comes. All kinds of creatures lurk among the trees. I'm not just talking about the woodpecker. I've heard things in that forest, Marnie. Things no human should ever privy to. Are you sure it wasn't just an animal? I'm quite certain. I've lived in the countryside all my life, and no animals can sing like that, nor speak. The creature that lives in the forest are more intelligent than you and I know, and they're not listed in any of Frank's books. Nobody else in Friendchapel knows about them, but I do. I've heard them. They're as real as the chairs we're sitting on. But how do you know that if you've never seen them? Hi, Yak, how you doing? I don't need to see them. I've heard them. And that's more than enough. How do you like my model? I made it myself. Need some work though. I think I need to fix some of the rigging. But I don't know how much I'll use it because it uses so much computer resources. It's just... I don't know if our computers can take it, mine and Monty's. It's running okay right now. It seemed to drop down after a while of using it. I mean, honestly, the tail probably doesn't help. If you wander too far into the woods, you might never come back. The Fey folk will keep you locked away in the woods and send a changeling back in your place to assume your name and live out your life. A changeling, Gran? I sigh. I've heard her warnings about the Fey folk before, but these so-called changelings are a new one. Where do you come up with all this? Have you been watching too much TV? This is nothing they show you on TV. This is the truth that they don't want you to hear. So now we've skipped past fantasy stories and gone into conspiracy theories. I'd ask Gran if she would peruse through that side of YouTube lately, but I keep quiet. My grandma might be able to spot a blue tip from a house Martin, but she hasn't, she can't even turn a computer on, let alone use YouTube. She should she should be safe from all the maniacs online who posted flat earth theories as a real valid science, but... Just be careful, dear. You don't need to believe what I'm saying. Lord knows that nobody else does. I wouldn't have believed it myself until last year before Frank's death. Gran sighs. Moira says I'm imagining things, and your father says I'm still in shock after Frank's death. But I trust my own judgment, and it's telling me there's something afoot in this village. You can scoff at me if you like, dear. You can dismiss my words as the ramblings of an old, lonely woman, and it wouldn't bother me so long as you heed my warnings. I just want to keep you safe. Now, do you promise to be careful? Rand's eyes bore into mine. Her expression is intent and impossibly focused, like a sharpened blade of a knife. I can't look away from her. I don't want to let her down. I don't believe in fairies, but... Alright, I'll come back safe, I promise. Rand might believe in fairies, but I don't. I mean, who would? There's no logical proof. It's ridiculous. Miss Partridge always gets on my case about poor aptitude for math. But I'm not completely stupid. Even I know fairies are a load of bunk. It might be kind of nice if my grandma was right, though, and fairies really did exist, then I might have something in Friend Chapel to keep me occupied. Friend Chapel is a painfully small, boring village. Everybody knows everybody else, and there's only one primary school, a small public library, and a poorly stocked corner shop. I don't really like living in Grimsby, but coming to Friend Chapel reminds me how much worse things could be. Grimsby isn't all that nice. It's about as grim as its name suggests, but it's just bigger than Friend Chapel. At least there's a shopping center. I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I didn't have an easy access to Lush or a HMV. Grimsby is one of the closest towns to Friend Chapel, but even then it's about half an hour away down the A1 whatever. And if you're wondering how I know that, I have most of the roads in Lachlanshire memorized. I'm my dad's trusty navigator, and I always read off routes for him on the map. He trusts me more than a sat-nav, ever since he tried to drive him through a river once on the way to a family get-together. Yeah, I actually, I was going to a doctor for something. I don't remember exactly what for, but, I actually had to reschedule twice because of whenever I would follow GPS, it would take me, it would try to make me turn into a cornfield. Anyway, Grimsby might be grim. If it doesn't help that everything's dirty and smells faintly of fish, but Friend Chapel is almost utterly nondescript. There's absolutely nothing to do, and if you want to go to the civilized world when you get there, forget it. There aren't any trains, and there are only a couple of buses that run at irregular times over pitted countryside roads. If you can't drive, you're stuck here for good. Until my parents come pick me up next week, I'm basically trapped here. Friend Chapel was so closed off with fields and vegetation and trees everywhere, I've always thought it'd make a great setting for a horror movie or maybe a detective drama. Grand's house in particular would be perfect. It's practically laid out like a Cluedo board. It's big. It's like I said. So there are plenty of places for a prospective killer to hide, and it even has billiards rooms. My nose is getting stopped up a little bit. I'm gonna mute for a second. Grand's house was originally Friend Chapel's village hall back in the 1800s or whatever. I don't know precisely how old it is, and parts of it has been rebuilt after it got damaged in a fire around the turn of the century, last century I mean, but I think it's a good 200 years old at least. One of the fancy glazed windows in the kitchen even has the inscription scrawled into it by one of the previous owners. This fancy cursive font picked out in the glass reads, Elizabeth Bradshaw 1981. You know, a house has history when it's got graffiti predates both world wars. I guess Grand's house is kinda cool in that respect, if only its old walls could speak and share its secrets with me. I wouldn't mind having a chat with Elizabeth Bradshaw, especially if she's around my age. My aimless meandering around Friend Chapel has uncovered a depressingly lack of young people. I've seen several old men with dogs, all indistinguishable from one another. Maybe I saw the same man on my walk 4 times, Scooby-Doo-like, but that's about it. I swear, the median age of Friend Chapel's inhabitants must be 65 at the very least. If Elizabeth's restless spirits is wandering around the ether, would it kill her to stop and exchange a few words with this lonely girl? It can't do that much harm. I mean, she's already dead. The last dead people aren't known for getting back up. This isn't a horror story. It's not a fairy story either. Friend Chapel is so boring it doesn't have any stories, period. Who'd want to set a novel in a place like this? I feel like I've aged 10 years. What if I'm a wrinkly old lady when my parents finally pick me up? Is Valentine Ross really worth it? Geez, and now I'm talking to myself, I'm going to end up just as crazy as Gran if I'm not careful. I place one foot after the other, my arms outstretched as I attempt to keep my balance on the railway track. Friend Chapel doesn't have a working station, but it used to. The train connected Laos and Grimsby and it ran straight through Friend Chapel. I guess the line didn't see much traffic because it was closed shortly after it opened. The station's long since fallen into disrepair and the rusted train tracks are overgrown with moss. Walking along these tracks is kind of fun in a way, the trees about me getting thicker with every footstep and it feels like I'm walking into the unknown. But that's just an illusion. I know exactly where this disused line goes. First it passes the old station house and then the tracks get subsumed by the forest. The old station house, like the track itself, is half consumed by the woods, its entire right side partially covered by tall green trees. The windows of the station house are all boarded up, but the boards themselves are rotten from the rainfall, and some of them lie on the grass, broken and splintered. I'm probably going to go for about 15 more minutes, and then maybe we can swap over to just chatting, because we're going to be raiding into Fizzy, because they're doing a special stream. So we'll do that. Ivy clings to the sides of the buildings and the roof peppered with holes. It's a pretty spooky sight. If I was superstitious like Aunt Lita, I'd say this site radiates mystic energy or something. But Aunt Lita's kinda loopy and I don't believe any of that nonsense. I might be a goth, yeah, but I like burning incense in my black bedroom and to my sheets smell of Sherwood Forest, but Aunt Lita can't miss me with her so-called spiritual enlightenment. There's no such thing as ley lines, tarot cards, and totally bogus, and as for reading palms, please. This station is interesting, sure, but I doubt it's harboring any particular secrets. It's just a rundown railway track that got shut down decades before I was born. These tracks don't lead anywhere. It's to be expected, really. In Friend Chapel, escape isn't an option. Don't forget, you're here forever. That makes a nice slogan for this miserable village. I wonder if it'd bring any tourists. I'm not paying attention as I walk, and I place my foot down on the rail on an awkward angle. All of a sudden, a sharp burst of pain flares through my ankle. Damn it. My body lifts to one side and I almost take a tumble. Fortunately, I'm able to regain my footing in the nick of time. My feet aren't on the railway track anymore, though. Now they're back on terra firma. I sigh, brushing a few strands of hair behind my ears. The rail is supposed to be on my safety line. The forest floor boiling lava, salty water filled with sharks. You take your pick. Per the rules of my own game, I'm long dead. Guess I'm like Elizabeth now. I didn't know being dead would hurt so much. My ankle was killing me. Stupid train track. I keep the track with my good foot and I wish I hadn't. Ouch, son of a... My right ankle's smarting after twisting it like that, and now my left foot's starting to ache too. I hope I haven't broken anything. I wiggle my toes inside my boots and they seem to be working as intended, though I feel unpleasantly numb. Not very good boots if they're not protecting your toes. I limp away from the track, hoping to put my shame behind me. The trees of Friendshapel Forest close about me, securing me inside a leafy green cocoon. I can hear a few birds twittering. I wonder if my grandpa would be able to identify these cries if he were still here with me. But my grandpa isn't here, he's dead. And so is poor Elizabeth, who I've never had a chance to know. My ankle's killing me. It feels uncomfortably swollen, and I curse with every step. Maybe I need to rub a dock leaf on it, or is that for nettle stings? I'm not sure. I'm not very familiar with plants and trees. When I get older, I'd like to move to a city, not a grimy, pokey town like Grimsby that smells of fish, but a real city that with towering buildings and huge shopping malls. London would be ideal, but I wouldn't mind Manchester either. I'll take anywhere, so as long as it's far away from Friendshapel as it's possible to be. These true cities have higher crime rates, but maybe the ever-present omniscient threat of being stabbed would add some much-needed excitement to my life. Oh, who am I kidding? I can't even handle a twisted ankle without whining. I guess I'd better sit down for a bit. I wipe a bead of sweat from my brow, then sit down the wicker picnic hamper Gran gave me. I'm not really hungry. It's only a couple hours since breakfast, and my porridge is sitting inside my stomach like a lead weight. But at least eating will give me something to do. While I'm at it, I can nurse my throbbing ankle. It's called multitasking, and I'm very adept at it. Go me! I spread Gran's tartan picnic basket on the forest floor. I'm not sure how old the basket is, but it's kind of ratty. It looks kind of threadbare. I wonder if Gran would take my dad and my myriad of aunts and uncles on picnics with his ragged basket when they were kids. This old thing might have seen 3 generations of Lennox family buttocks. Does that mean this blanket is a treasured heirloom? How much would it fetch on the Antiques Roadshow? Probably not a lot. I bet Elizabeth's autograph is worth more, but a girl can always imagine. I deposit myself on the blanket with a dull thud. The hem of my tartan skirt is perilously short already, and it rucks up about my waist, but I pull it back down. Not that it matters. I'm smart enough to wear leggings, and it's not like there's anybody in the forest who can sneak a peek at my thighs. Luscious though they are. Just kidding, like the rest of me, they're kind of spindly. Who's going to care what I look like? The birds? I'm sure the fairies of my grandma's imagination would be tuttering at my tiny scrap of shirt. What a shameless hoyden. But I'm pretty good at ignoring the negative whispers. It's even easier when those whispers aren't really real. I dig into the picnic hamper, ready for my early lunch. The food's pretty typical, I guess. It's about what I expected from my grandma. There are cheese sandwiches, a piece of pork pie, a packet of salt and vinegar, crisps, my favorite, and a Tupperware box full of fresh strawberries. There's even a sealed pot of sour cream to pour over them and sugar. Gran's really pulled out all the stops. I kind of feel like a member of a famous 5. Now, all I need is some kippers and condensed milk. I remove my lunch from the hamper piece by piece. Now I feel more akin to Mary Poppins extracting item after item from her enchanted traveling bag. There are a few more items at the very bottom of the hamper, knocking it about in the dark. Now, let's see what we have here. There are 2 apples at the bottom of the hamper, a bottle of Evian water, and small wooden box. I lift the box from the picnic hamper and turn it over in my hands. The box is rather small, and it feels cool to the touch. My phone's going. One moment. Wifey is on lunch. My nose keeps getting stopped up. It's made of smooth wood, though what kind I couldn't tell you, and it's sealed with silvery clasp shimmering in the sunlight. The surface of the box is decorated with a few carved flowers. It's a simple, understated design, and though it's not quite my style, it's kind of pretty. It looks like something you find in a fairy tale. Like the box of the evil stepmother wanted to keep in Snow White's heart in. My frown deepens. It doesn't look like something you put Scotch eggs in. If I had to hazard a guess, I'd say it's a jewelry box. It looks old, the corners are scuffed, and some of the carvings are chipped. I wonder how long Gran had it. I give the box a rattle. Something inside it clinks. The sound barely audible above the chirping birds and whispering trees. There could be a ring inside this box, or a brooch, or maybe a pair of earrings. I don't think there'll really seriously be a human heart, but why'd Gran give me this? If she wanted to get me a gift, she could have just waited for a more appropriate time. Stuffing it with my lunch seems kind of weird, but I guess Gran has been pretty weird lately. Maybe this is par for the course. Still, this box looks kind of expensive. I wonder if she put it in here for a mistake. Part of me wants to slide the box back into the picnic camper, like a napping Russian doll, out of sight, out of mind. Another, more inquisitive part of me, however, wants to see just what's inside here. Maybe there will be a real fairy trapped in this box. Just kidding. I don't know for whose sake I append that remark. Maybe it's just for my own dwindling sanity, or perhaps the leaves on the trees murmur amongst themselves. If I didn't know any better, I think they were actually speaking to me. A shiver runs down my spine. I try to suppress it. Stop being stupid. It's only a silly box. Just open it. And so I do. I twist the silver clasp, which flicks open with the unexpected ease. Then I pushed open the wooden lid. I'm not sure what I'll find inside exactly, but... Oh, I see. In the end, it's more or less what I expected. It's just a piece of jewelry, though it's nothing as fancy as a brooch or a pair of earrings. Instead, it's a necklace. Contrary to the decorative box, the necklace inside is disappointingly plain. It's not made of gold or silver, and I can't see any precious stones or even semi-precious ones. My inner magpie is disappointed. The necklace is comprised of braided leather cord, which is a muddy, dun brown. A circular stone hangs from the cord, with a hole carved in the middle. It kind of looks like a gray donut. I guess it's kind of pretty, but why did Gran give this to me? I search about in the corner of the picnic camper, hoping to find some kind of explanation. Luckily, it isn't long before I unease the final piece of the puzzle. A letter. I draw the letter from the box. My name is written on the envelope, in my grandma's hand. I open the envelope and slide out the letter, my eyes darting over Gran's spidery cursive. Her letters are tremulous and hard to pick out, but I understand the general gist. So, this necklace is some kind of family heirloom. No wonder the box looks beaten up. It's meant to protect its wearer from evil spirits, huh? This necklace isn't my style, but there is something kind of cool about it. It looks like something a druid might wear. I don't believe for a second it has mystical powers, but I'm sure Gran means well. I'm touched that she cares so much. Well, since she's given it to me, I might as well keep a hold of it. I put the necklace in my pocket. Though it's only a small light thing, it somehow feels oddly oppressive. Is it just my imagination, or do the rustling trees about me sound even louder than before? After lunch, I resume my aimless wandering through the forest. There isn't much to do in Friendchapel, as I believe I've established already, other than wander. My twisted ankle still smarts, but it doesn't seem so very badly that I can't put one foot after the other. I ignore the pain. Being alive is suffering after all, and soldier on despite it. It's nothing. Other people have dealt with far worse. The deeper I venture into the forest, the thicker the trees around me become. Gnarled branches twist above my head like claws. The ground is uneven and is strewn with loose leaves. The twig snaps between my beneath my foot and sounds echo through the forest. I've never been into Franchapel's forest before. Unlike the village, the forest that borders, it seems almost dizzyingly large. I don't know how long I've been walking, but it feels like a small century. When does this forest end? Maybe it doesn't. There must be roads beyond these trees, even crappy country roads riddled with holes. But I can't hear any cars. I can't hear the birds either. The forest is almost eerily quiet, save for a sound of my own footsteps. Maybe I should go back. It's not like I believe in fairies. Of course I don't. This forest is more expansive than I first thought, and I don't want to get lost. Before today, I would have scoffed at the mere idea of getting lost in Franchapel. And now I've ventured this far, I can see I might have been a bit too hasty. I turn, ready to retreat, but that's weird. I don't remember passing that tree stump, and I certainly don't remember that blanket of pale blue flowers. When I strain my ears, I can hear above all the accompanying silence the faint sound of running water. There isn't a lake nearby, is there? I didn't see one during my walk. What's going on? I turn about on the spot, trying to get my bearings. It feels like I'm playing a game of blind man's bluff. I'm not blindfolded, but I might as well be. I set out in one direction, then loop about on myself and change my course. No matter which point of the compass I turn to, however, I'm faced with more sights I don't remember. Did I really come this way? Where am I? I cast a wary eye at the strange flowers, bluebells I think they are, but that must have sprouted behind me when my back was turned. The flowers sway in the breeze, the same breeze catches the hem of my skirt as the black tulle beneath dances. It's supposed to be the middle of summer, but for some reason it feels incredibly cold. Hey, you guys! I look at the curious flowers with narrowed eyes, hands on hips. Classic, can I speak to your manager pose. Do you know where I am? The long shot, flowers can't talk. Any sensible human would know that. There's something screwy and decidedly unsensible about this whole situation. I half expected the flowers to reply to me in perfect English, with perhaps a touch of upper-class accent. I mean, they could talk perfectly well in Alice in Wonderland, but... Of course, the flowers don't say anything. Well, what was I expecting? Maybe it's not the world that's gone mad, but me. That's what I like to believe, but... Don't be so hasty. Everything has a story to tell. Perhaps these flowers just don't feel like talking. I whipped my head around. Though it was faint and indistinct, nothing more than a whisper, I'm sure I heard something. What is it? Who's there? Now, is that any way to ask a question? The voice, it really is a voice, calls out from behind the trees. Perhaps the voice is lurking inside the trees, and beneath the earth, and upon the air. The voice seems to come from all directions at once. It wraps me in a soft silken towel like a smoky shroud. It's hard to find the voice, but if I had to bet my life on it, I'd say it probably belongs to a woman. Maybe it's a mature woman. But would an adult skulk around in the trees, trying to terrify an innocent and unsuspecting goss? It seems unlikely. I need to take a drink. I know I said I was going to stop at 12:45, but we're just going to go as long as I can. Before we raid Busy, when she goes live at 1. I can often feel my voice about completely leaving me. This whole situation is unlikely. I can feel my temper boiling over. Who are you, to police my tone? I don't give a damn what you think. Is that so? How unfortunate. It seems the young girls of today have quite forgotten their pleases and thank yous. If you were alive during my era, you'd be slapped for your insolence, or worse. I'm not that little. I'm 16, damn it. Now tell me who you are this instant. And while you're at it, you better tell me where you're hiding. I'm not hiding. I would never be that cruel. You're just not looking hard enough. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I turn about, but no matter how I crane my neck, I can't see anybody. It's almost like the mysterious speaker lacks a physical body. But that's impossible. What's going on? Are you somebody from the village? Are you trying to play a prank on a city girl? Haha, let's freak her out so she can't sleep at night. If that's your game, I gotta say, it isn't very mature. Then you don't trust me. How sad. If you had been more courteous, dear, perhaps I would have deigned to lend you a hand, but alas, you've already had your chance. I do feel sorry for you, but given you are the way you are, I doubt nobody would miss you too much. What are you talking about? Only that I have no desire to aid an ungrateful urchin like yourself. Now please, feel free to wander about this forest to your heart's content. You become another lonely soul like the others trapped here. Trapped? What are you talking about? Why don't you tell me what's going on? Okie doke, I'm done texting Lonnie, so we can keep going for like 10 minutes. I cry out to the voice, but this time I receive no reply. Whoever, or whatever it was, that was speaking to me, be it man or beast or mineral, has gone. Damn it. I feel like kicking the heads of all these bluebills in revenge. But I resist the urge. That's not going to help anything. But what is? I don't know how deep I am in the rotten forest, but it might take hours to escape. How am I supposed to get out of here? Why won't this creepy, disembodied voice, give me any real advice? Some help you were. You could at least said your name. Don't I deserve that much? But my goading, as I imagined, was met with silence. Damn it. This has gotta be some kind of joke. What am I going to do now? I breathe in, trying to quell my fiery temper. I can feel my heart knocking against my ribs far louder than it has any right to be. Though I don't want to admit it, I might quite possibly be a little scared. Wait, what am I doing? I can just pull up Google Maps. I take my phone out of my pocket and turn it on. It starts up just fine, but it refuses to connect to the internet though. I'm sure I have data left. What's going on? I fiddle around my phone for a while, but to little avail. I can't get Google Maps to work. Damn it. I stuff my phone in my pocket and scowl, arms folded. Alright, Marnie, think. There's no such thing as fairies or ghosts or goblins. You need to calm down. It's fine, you'll be fine. My fingers find the stone pendant in my pocket. I grip it tightly, like a talisman. The necklace is only a cheap trinket. It looks like something you could buy at a car boot sale, but it's cool to the touch and it's comforting. My heart begins to stabilize. Finally, I can breathe. Somebody's playing a prank on me. That's all this is. It's just a practical joke. I'll find a way out of this miserable forest, and then I'll find out who that joker was. I won't let them get off easy. I raise my head, then once again begin my pursuit. I'll find the way out of the forest, even if it kills me, and then I'll tear out their hair. It's the least they deserve. Nobody who pisses me off gets away with it. It might be small, but I'm pretty handy with my fists, and I won't go down without a fight. It's like... I kind of agree with the voice. It's like you were very rude, and then because they didn't help a very rude and obnoxious person, you're getting angry at them. And it's like, it's your fault. Be more pleasant to strangers. I don't know. I think people get into their own head and think the whole world is supposed to interact with them and not the other way around. And it's very self-centered. I think it's again that stereotypical, I'm a teenager and therefore I'm acting like a angsty teen. But it's like, I don't know. It didn't happen to me and my brothers like that. Sure, we had our emotions, but we were brought up with manners and we were... I don't know. It just... I don't really understand it. I'm just gonna say that. What the? Am I really seeing this? I glanced around my surroundings, my lips pursed. Though my ears weren't playing tricks on me, this really is a secret lake buried deep within the depths of the forest. But that doesn't make sense. How can there be a lake here? Nobody's ever mentioned it before. I wonder why. I went to my grandparents' house when I was younger. Me and my cousins would play on the disused train tracks and hide behind felled trees in the woods. I was the youngest of my cousins, but I was the bossiest and the loudest, so everybody listened to me. Ruby and Pearl, Aunt Allison's twin daughters, would cower shyly and ask if it was a really good idea to wander so far into the woods, but I'd remain resolute. Where's your sense of adventure? We won't find any good hiding places if we don't go in a little deeper. Gran warned me not to go deep into the woods, but she never said anything about a lake. Surely she would have said something like, "Don't go deep into the forest, girls. I wouldn't want you to slip and fall into the water. Playing by the lake can be very, very dangerous, you know? It's deeper than it looks. A lake, regardless of its width and depth, is far more tangible threat than fairies are. You often hear stories in the news about unfortunate kids who have had a little mishap while going swimming, but I've never once heard about a kid being spirited away by a being from another world. Gran should have warned us. But she didn't say anything. She never mentioned this place, neither did my grandfather or my aunts or uncles. They never told me there was a lake. Did they know? Surely they must have come across this place, if it really does exist. I looked down at my reflection. I half expected to find a stranger looking back at me, but no. I'm still Marnie Lennox, head from foot. My blonde hair flutters in the wind. My fingers tremble at my sides. My grandma's necklace hums inside my pocket as though it's my own heartbeat. I kneel by the lake. The strange vibrations emitting from my grandma's necklace are more violent than before. Could it really be enchanted? Yeah, right. You've been in the woods too long. It's only a stupid necklace. This is only a stupid lake. It's all stupid. I'm being stupid. I'm sure this lake wouldn't be here, but it undeniably is. It looks just as real as I am. When I dip my fingers into the water, disturbing the smooth surface, it feels too real. I draw my fingers back. They're wet, and they glisten in the sunlight. Are my senses playing tricks on me? This feels real, but it could be a very convincing dream. If possible, I'd like to tear back the veil of the mysterious surrounding this clearing. But my damp fingers grasp uselessly in the empty air. I feel trapped. I'm all alone, and I don't know how to get back. Is it even possible to get back? Maybe I've wandered too far into the woods. My fingers, still damp from the lake, fists in my loose hair. I tug it hard enough to hurt. The lake before me refuses to disappear. What happens here? Won't somebody give me a sign? I wish somebody would tell me what to do. Then at that moment, "Young maiden, oh, could it be?" Ah, my skin prickles, the blood inside my veins freezes over. This isn't my imagination. It can't be, I swear. It's just I just heard a voice. Hearing voices should be a commonplace event by now, given what happened not 1 hour earlier. This voice is different to the light, lilting tones of the previous tormentor. This voice is much more real somehow. Okay, I'm gonna save it. Let's just read a few more until... Their tone is low and deep. It rumbles in the air like thunder. It's obviously a man's voice, even more real and solid than a cannonball to the gut. I try to swallow, but my throat feels dry, and I almost choke on my own tongue. The figure is standing beside me, his shoulders broad, his stance firm, his eyes are locked upon mine. Or at least I think they are. It's hard to tell because his face is obscured by a helmet. He isn't wearing armor per se. His shoulders are padded, and his chest, and to cap things off, he even has a sword at his hip. Is he supposed to be a medieval knight? He wouldn't look out of place as a tour guide in Warwick Castle, with his hat widely period, inappropriate clothing. Maybe he took the wrong turn on the A46 and ended up out here. He should be showing guests around historical ruins, cracking jokes about the weather, and letting your children try on his helmet all the while. My name is Al.
My name's Al, and I'll be your guide.
He says, grinning an uneven grin beneath his helmet.
But right now, I'm Alfred, noble knight in the service of the good King William of Conqueror. This helmet's only a replica, of course, but it's heavy enough. By Jove, knights has had it tough. The poor blighters, if you'd care to follow me, ladies and gents, our tour will shortly begin.
But this knight doesn't seem to have the easy, self-effacing humor of my made-up tour guide. He doesn't laugh, doesn't joke. I can't see his face, but I doubt he's smiling.
Young maiden, could it truly be?
The knight doesn't try to approach me, but I take a trembling step back all the same. Can he see how afraid I am? Maybe he can hear the anxious beating of my heart.
You do look a lot like her. You have Leoth's hair and her eyes. You have her pale skin and her snub nose. You and she are so very similar. The knight's hand rests upon the hilt of his sword. But you are not her.
He never said I was. I swallow again, my throat feels parched, and my body won't stop shaking. I'm not Leoth, and I never meant to trick you, I promise. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing Leoth's name correctly. It doesn't sound like any modern 21st century name I know. Okay, I'm gonna save it, because it's like right there at time. Here, we'll do slot 2, just in case I need to go back a little whenever we start up again to refresh my memory. Okay. Thank you for the posture check. So that's a good visual novel. Let's go over to just chatting, just for a few minutes. I'm not even going to change the screen information. But that was a pretty good story. And just for anybody that missed it, that was lurking or missed information. So basically, we haven't really gotten too much story. It's mostly building on characters, the personalities and stuff. The main character, Marnie, she's going through a phase. She doesn't want to be seen as a kid, but she acts like it. She doesn't realize that if she would just act a little bit better, grow up a little bit, then maybe people would, because that comes with the territory, I think. But it's just the mom irritates me a little bit because she's a therapist, and yet she has so many damn problems and probably needs a therapist herself. And yet she has all these people around her that probably also need therapy. But yeah, and then I guess we're going to get close to seeing fairies, and maybe the forest was actually time travel. But it's a pretty good story. The music's really nice. The artwork is phenomenal. They did really well with the artwork.